Excel accounting practice problem. Write checks for expenses and prepaid assets. Get ready because we're about to excel. Here we are in our Excel worksheet. In prior presentations, we put together the Excel worksheet from a blank sheet, now entering transactions into it. If you have access to it, there's going to be two tabs on down below, the example tab and the practice tab. Practice tab starting out where we left off last time, the example tab in essence being an answer key. Let's take a look at it now. We're going to be entering transactions that are going to be similar to or related to check type of transactions for normal type of expenses and payments that we might have, say, at the year end, typically decrease in the checking account and record on the other side to an expense and or asset account of, say, supplies expense, insurance expense, utilities, and so on. So we're going to go back to the practice tab, do some clean up work, hiding some cells first. So we're going to put our cursor on the skinny column, here, and then left all the way to the wall to hit to the A to the skinny, right click and hide those cells. Then we're going to take our ending balances and move them over to the beginning balances. So we're going to take our ending balances here, copy them, right click and copy, and bring them on over to the beginning balances and pasting them 1, 2, 3. And then I'll remove the items in the middle, deleting the items in the middle. So now we can just be focusing in on the work that we'll be doing at this time. The more detailed information will still be there on the G to the L, the GL general ledger. So we're going to imagine first that we're going to have a check for prepaid insurance. So we're going to write a check. Obviously in software, this would be like a check type form, which often is the type of form that might also be used for any kind of decrease to the checking account. It'll decrease the checking account, the other side then going to whatever other account we assign to it. First, we're talking about insurance expense, which is a little bit confusing because that's the one where you often have the payment, or you always have, in essence, a payment happening before you get the work done. And therefore, from a classical accrual accounting standpoint, we often want to put that into a prepaid asset as opposed to expensing it so that we can set it up for our adjustment at the end of the period with the adjusting entry process. So let's take a look at that. We're going to say 126, and we're going to say the checking account is going to be going down. So we're going to be crediting the checking account, and the debit you could put to insurance expense. And if it was just a month by month expense, then maybe you could kind of get away with that. But if you're paying for like a full year's of insurance at one time, and then you put it all into an expense on a cash basis, the problem with that is that if you compare, say, January to February, and you paid for a year's worth of insurance in January, it's going to look like you had a worse month in January than February, even though the insurance is being used or consumed throughout the year. Therefore, typically the accounting system, whether in Excel or in a QuickBooks system or some other accounting software, will say, hey, look, I would like the bookkeeping department or the accounting department to enter the amounts to a prepaid account, and then we will adjust it periodically, allocating the expense to the period that has actually been incurred with regards to it. So we're going to make a prepaid account. We're going to have to set up a few accounts here. So we're going to be practicing moving around in our Excel worksheet. So the prepaid account is going to be right under the inventory. So I'm going to put my cursor under the inventory, select those 4 columns. We'll right click on it, and then we're going to insert and shift those cells down, shifting down. And then this is going to be what we'll call prepaid insurance. We'll put a 0 here for the starting point, and there's going to be our transaction. Debiting prepaid insurance, crediting checking, alignment, indent the checking, and then we're going to say that we're paying $12,000 for a year's worth of insurance. There's the debit, there's the credit. Let's go ahead and post this out. We're going to post this out just to the trial balance firstly. So there we have it. We're going to be increasing the prepaid insurance equals the 12,000, taking it up to 12,000. The other side going to the checking account up top, and AB4 equals, scrolling down to the checking account, the 12,000, decreasing it from 123.1 down by the 12,000 to 111,100. No impact on the income statement down here because we did not expense it at this point in time. There will be an impact when we do the adjusting entry at the end of the period so that we can allocate the amount of this year's worth of insurance to whatever time frame had then passed, lowering the insurance expense and lowering the prepaid insurance and recording the insurance expense at that time. Let's do another one. We're going to say we're paying for just office supplies. So we're going to once again decrease the checking account is going down. Office supplies is going to be another one of those kind of items that we could put on the books as a prepaid amount. And this will typically depend on how important are the office supplies, or in other words, how material are they to decision-making processes. If there's something that are material, like medical supplies to a medical institution or something, or a business or nonprofit, then you'd want to track the medical supplies kind of like inventory. But if they're going to be supplies that aren't going to have a significant impact on the materiality of the financial statements, it would be easier simply to expense the office supplies oftentimes, and that's what we're going to do here. We're just going to expense the office supplies as if we bought like staples or something like that for the entire year or 5 years worth of staples. Due to the fact that the cost is relatively low, it might not be worth putting on the books as an asset, tracking it kind of like inventory, and then allocating the cost as they're consumed, but rather expense them as you have them. So we're going to put them down here. I'm going to have to add another accounts here. So we're going to be adding accounts here as we go. So we're going to be putting these 4 cells, right click, insert again, and shift these cells down. And then I'm going to paintbrush these columns above it, or the row above it, and go to the home tab and paintbrush it, put that paint on our brush, and then put it right down here. And then we're going to call this then the office supplies 0 to start out with. Now, every time we add something to the bottom, we got to double check our total numbers here. So it's in the total. Is it in the total down here? It's not. I'm going to drag it down. And then I'm going to select those 2, and I'm going to drag it across so that we autofill it across to make sure that my totals are still totaling up everything that they should be total. The totals are totally good. Totals are totally cool. So then the debits to the office supplies, we're going to indent the alignment. Indentation. Office supplies, we're just going to say are $500. $500 on the office supplies. So this one will impact the net income. Let's post it out. We're going to go on over to AB21 equals the $500. So now we've got the 14,815 decreased with the debit because the expenses went up by the 500 to the 14,315. If we're talking about just the net income, we're out of balance by the 5,000 till we record the other side to the checking account. Double clicking on the checking account to do so, plus putting our cursor back on the 500, not 5,000, bringing the balance down to 110,600. We're back in balance on down below. So let's do another one. Let's add a few columns here as we do the next couple. We're going to need a couple other columns in any case. So I'm going to highlight these cells. Going to right click on them, and then I'm going to say let's say we're going to copy that, and then I'm going to insert those columns into the skinny column here. So I'm going to scroll up. Let's do it up here in the skinny area and insert the copied cells. Then I want to copy this skinny column, copy that skinny column right there, and then right click and copy. And I'm going to put that in Y. It's going to be right before Y, right click and insert the copied cells again. So there we have it. I'm also going to clean up. I'm going to basically format paint this thing down to maybe right here so that it's basically ending at where our trial balance is at, although the trial balance will be getting longer as we go here. So we might be able to extend that, but I'll keep that for now. And then I'm gonna basically take this top item and clean this up, paintbrush it, and then we'll paintbrush this whole thing just blue so we don't have the indentations, and then delete that. So now we got a nice clean blue slate to work with. So we're going to say on 126 then, we also paid the utility bill. So same thing, checking account's going to go down. We're going to debit utilities expense. We're going to say it was the electric bill. You do have some leeway in terms of how you're going to group your expenses. Do you want to put it into the electric expense, utilities expense, or something, or how many groups or categories do you want to have. We're going to add it into the utilities. So the other way you could do this is you could just drag this down. I could highlight these and just grab it and drag it down instead of inserting cells. So that's another way you can kind of do it. It doesn't do that automatically, copy the formatting, but I'm going to format paint it anyways by going to the Home tab, Clipboard, Paintbrush, putting that blue paint on my brush and put it right there. And then this is going to be utilities, 0 to start out with, summing it across, checking my totals down below. That one checks out. Roger that. Form 1040. Form 1040. That's how accountants do that radio talk. Form 1040. You copy, Form 1040. And then we're going to copy this across. We'll copy this across too to get the totals going this way. So the totals are totally good. The totals are totaled. Totally totaled the totals. So then we're going to say the debit is going to be equal to the utilities. Utilities. There we have it. Indenting the second one, alignment and indent the amount of 620. 620. And then we'll go ahead and post that out. So now we got our utilities. Let's post it out down below. We're in AG22 equals, scrolling up. We're picking up then the 620, bringing it up to 620. That, of course, has an impact on the net income, which is now at the 13,695. Checking account up top in the AG4, double-clicking on it, going to the end of it, plus. And then we're looking at that 620. That'll put us back in balance down below, ending balance in the checking account 109,980. One more time, telephone expense this time, common expense, same kind of thing. We're going to say checking account goes down. Other side going to the telephone, which, yes, we have to add another one. This time I'm going to put it in kind of like alphabetical order, so I'll put the telephone before the utilities. Doesn't have to be in alphabetical order, but if you're using accounting software like QuickBooks, then if you don't use account numbers, it'll be in alphabetical order within the account categories, such as the expense accounts. So we'll kind of mirror that system. Selecting these 4 cells, I'm going to right-click on them and insert, shift down. And now I don't need to do any formatting. I don't need to check my totals because now I'm not doing it at the bottom of the thing. So this is actually a little easier. Telephone, expense. We'll just call it telephone. What did you tell the phone? I told the phone. Telephone something. Okay, so then I'm going to go up top and say this is going to be the telephone. And then I like the telephone. We're going to indent, alignment, and indent. And then this is going to be for 410. We're going to say 410 on the telephone expense. So there we have it. Let's post it out. We're looking telephone up top. So that's going to be on down here in the blue area. We're in AG22. AG22. 410. So there it goes up by the 410, has an impact on the income statement or the net income, decreasing the net income. Other side in the checking account, double click on the checking account, going to the end of it, plus picking up the decrease of the 410 there as well. The checking account down to the 109,570, and now we're back in balance down below. Now we're going to have to post to the GL, so I'm going to highlight this one. This is the first one we're going to work on. We're going to have to add accounts as we go. So I'm going to make it green. That's going to focus our eyeballs on where we're working. So I'm going to need to then make a new account, and it's going to be this prepaid, which is right after the inventory. So we got to make that one over here. So it's going to be after the inventory account. Inventory is right there. So these are funny because we made them longer. So I'm going to try to copy these cells right here and then put that right in the skinny. So I'm going to copy these cells and I'm going to go into the skinny here and then right click and insert the copied cells. And then I got to add a skinny column. So I'm going to take this skinny column, copy it, and I'm going to put that right on the AU, right click and insert the skinny. So there we go. And then I'm going to delete the activity in our new thing here, in our new space. Delete the activity. This whole second thing, I don't need this one at all. We're going to just leave a gap in this GL that's becoming a very strange creation at this point. It was all symmetrical when we started it and everything. And now it's all jagged and whatnot, but it still looks good that way. It's more organic though. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, we're gonna say this is gonna be the prepaid insurance. Prepaid insurance. And so this is gonna be on 1/26, I think we said was the date that we're working this. This is gonna be equal to then the prepaid insurance on the right, on the green one. That's why we made it green. See how easily I picked that up? It's because it was green. That's where my eyeballs went, because I made it a different color. And so then we got to pick that up in our GL thing up top, because it should be out of balance now. So I'm going to double click on this thing, go all the way to the end of it and say plus. We'll pick that up in our GL at the bottom. At the bottom, there it is. This 12. Now I got those two 12,000s. That's confusing. Who set up this problem? Now it's out of balance at 12,000. The other side's going to be on the checking account. The checking account. So let's check out the checking. Check out the checking. We're going to be down here in AJ 16126. We're now in AK 16 equals left to the wall hole. Down to the checking account. There's the 12,000. Bringing the 123.1 down by the 12 to 111.1. That matches. That does not match yet because we haven't recorded them all out. But that does put us back in balance up here. We haven't matched out the trial balance yet until we record the rest of them. So I think we're on the right track. We're on the right track. So let's do it again. I'm going to unblue. I'm going to make this blue again. Hitting the drop down. If you don't have that blue, you could go to this little color thingy and then the standard color. And that's the blue right there. That's where the Excel is Fun guy used to use that one. So that's why I use it. And so we're going to hit the drop down and make this one green so our eyeballs focus in on that. And then now we're going to make the office supplies. So that's going to be like way down here after the cost of goods sold. We got to make that in the GL as well. We need one in the GL as well. So we're going to go all the way over to the right. We're looking, oh, that one's going to be easy because it's going to be right down here under the cost of goods sold. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this one. Just going to copy that and put that down here and then delete the activity in it and start it up. And then this is just going to be equal to the one under the cost of goods sold, which I think we were on, which was the office supplies. Office supplies. There we go. And then I'm just going to call this 126, and then in cell BY17, by 17, we're going to go all the way to the left and pick up that office supplies and the green one. That's why it's green. And there it is, picking it up to 500. We got to add that to our check figure up top because we should be out of balance on the check figure now. And we're not. So I'm going to double click the green 0 here, go to the end of it and say plus, pick up that office supplies. Picking it up, the office supplies, just like I do staples at the supply store when I need them. Staple things like paper, and there they are, $500. And then next other side's going to go to the checking account, which is the easy thing. So let's go check out the checking. What's going on with the checking? Just coming to check things out. Checking 126. We're going to post this over here into AK17 equals left to the wall down to the green thing. And we're picking up the $500. So 111,100 down by 500 to 110,600. That 110,600 doesn't match yet, but we're back in balance up top. At least here, we still got to match out our income statement accounts. So let's ungreenify these cells now. I'm going to make them ungreenify. Right click on them and ungreenify. Back to blue. And so now we're on the utilities. So we got to add the utilities account again. So let's do that. That'll be fun. So I'm going to make this green. Utilities is way at the bottom. So I think I can add these 2 rows like really easy over here. So we're going to go all the way to the left again. So I'm going to copy these 2 now. So I'm going from the skinny to BZ. Copying these. I'm going to paste them right before the subledge. Right click and paste the copied cells. And then delete the activity. Delete the activity, and I think I'm going to need both of these this time. So this is going to be equal to, for the name, we'll pick up the name this time of, the name will be the, what am I on here again? I forgot. I was on utilities. Utilities. Actually, I should do the telephone first because it should be in order by the trial balance, and then the utilities down below. This will be the utilities. Will be down here. That's how it should go. That's how things should work. Okay, so now we got our two accounts down there, and then I'm going to say this on the utilities happened on 126. So in CC17 equals the amount of the 620. So there we have that. So it goes up by 620. The other side's going to be in the trusty checking account. So there's the checking account. So let's go and take a look at it. Let's check it. Let's check it out. Check it out. Just like a book at the library. AK18 equals, scrolling up, picking up the checking of the 620. So we got the 110, 600 minus the 620 to the 109, 980. We're not in balance because we haven't added this to the check figure. So I'm going to double click the check figure, go all the way to the end of it. And we got to add those two new accounts we made over here. The two new accounts way over here, we got to make those up. So that's going to be the end of the telephone and plus the utilities. There we have them both and enter. So that puts us back in balance there. And now we got one more round, one more thing to do. So let's ungreenify this. I don't need to make the last one green because now we're in their standard thing. We always work on the last one. So we're on the telephone now. So we made that account already. It's all the way at the bottom. So we just got to post to this. This is easy to finish things out. To finish the process, we're now in CB5 126. We're now in CC5 equals left to the last. I'm not going to hit the wall this time. I'm going to use a little bit more finesse and stop before I have to hit the wall. And then we're at the 410. There we have it. Goes up to the 410. The other side, way on over here, is at the checking account. So finally the checking account, once again, all the activity in the checking account. The checking account gets all the action. In AK19, that's where the action is. If you really want to know, if you really want to be where the action is with accounting accounts. 109,980 minus the 410 is the 109,570. That finally should match out to what is on the trial balance. It does, which is great, but we don't quite. I have to check my other check figure over here to match this to my accounts down here for the net income. This is our other check figure. I'm going to double click on it, just add the new accounts that were the income statement accounts. So they were the ones after cost of goods sold over here, the ones after the cost of the goods that are sold. We need to pick up this one, the office supplies. We need to pick up the telephone, and we need to pick up the utilities. And there we have it. That should do it. So that puts the green zeros here, green zeros there, green zeros everywhere, meaning that life is good. Things are working the way they're supposed to work. And that's it. So you can check your ending figures here. This is where we stand at this point in time.